One of the most important things in soap opera acting is reacting. This does not mean acting again.
Hey, it's me, it's JSB, and today on Acting is Reacting, well, we've got another random foreplay. For those who don't know what that is, it's where I take an artist, album, or playlist, throw it into iTunes, and get it to randomly chuck it in some strange order, and we listen to the first four songs that come up. There might be the four best, there might be the four worst, might be something in between. We never know what we're going to get, and that's, I'm going to say half the fun, but it's probably about 90% of the fun, if I'm honest. I'm a random kind of guy. So today we are looking at, as long promised really, the Doobie Brothers' What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits, which was released in February of 1974. So that means it is also another 50-year flashback. 50-year flashback. Where did that sound come? Oh, I did that. Yeah, so the Doobies. Okay. A little bit about my history with them before we get into the album. First thing I ever owned, and this was early 90s, was the cassette, which is on your screens now, if I remember, um, of a best of called Listen to the Music, the Best of the Doobie Brothers. Fair enough. I believe only ever released in New Zealand and Australia. Could be wrong about that, but it's certainly not commonly found on your internet discographies about the Doobies. And if you've seen it or you know the album somehow, you'll know it has a quite eccentric track list for a best of. Covers the first four albums evenly, three songs from each, even the debut that nobody knows anything from. Um, so there were three tracks from Vices on there, and probably not the three you'd think, if you can think of three. Uh, Mainly, what I mean is there's no Black Water on it, not even Another Park, Another Sunday. And those, if you're wondering why, those are the obvious ones to be on it, because those were the two. Well, one was the big single, one was a smallish single, and then there was a third single, which was Eyes of Silver, which was even smaller. And that was on it. So go figure. Um, anyway, it didn't matter. And a little bit later on, I came third place in my school's talent competition. Won't tell you how. um, but my prize was a whopping, at the time, $10, which I spent buying old vinyl records because it was the early 90s and I was a slightly strange kid. How things just never change. Um, so I, managed to get four cheap LPs for $10, which was a bargain in those days. So there was this. I'm pretty certain they came along with Face Value by Phil Collins, Chicago 11. And I think that the fourth one might have been the masterpiece that is Back to the Egg by Wings. Because I was in a big Wings kick in the early 90s. It was around the time we saw Macca in concert. Anyway, enough diversion. What about this album that we're actually listening to? It's the fourth studio album from the Doobies, and as I say, it was released in February of 1974 on Warner Brothers Records, produced by Ted Templeman, and we have a lineup here with Tom Johnston, of course, on acoustic and electric guitars, lead and backing vocals, and Patrick Simmons, who's on exactly the same acoustic, electric guitars, lead and backing vocals, and those two gents are the key members then and now. They're still in the band today. Um, Welcoming Tom back to the touring lineup after he was off ill for a good chunk of last year. So good to hear that it seems that he's recovered. The remaining members of the team at this point were Tyron Porter, of course, on bass and backing vocals, the bass player for pretty much the entire classic period. We've got John Hartman on drums and percussion, and then Michael Hossack is also on drums because they always had double drummers, the Doobies. But oddly, he finished recording the album and then left the band and was replaced by Keith Knudsen. So he just gets a special thanks credit on the album rather than being listed as an actual member. Um, Keith Knudsen actually gets a very special thanks credit. So take that for what you will. There's all sorts of other people on other tracks, but we can get into that if any relevant ones come up. So what am I hoping for? I do have favourites. My very number one favourite, I have to say, would be Road Angel, which closed out that cassette best of that I had. And it's just a jamming rocking tune. I do have to be dull and say Blackwater is a favourite on here. Also Daughters of the Sea, which is another great Pat Simmons tune. I'm always into the Pat Simmons tunes. And going for a fourth, I will go with Spirit. Some really good acoustic stuff on this album, and that's one of the acoustic highlights. Least favourites, well, there's only one really, and it's not awful by any means, but Down on the Track is one that it's fine. If it comes up, I won't be sad, but it's just not my favourite. But as we discovered last week on the Gordon Lightfoot one, if I list something as a favourite, chances are it won't come up. And if I list something as a least favourite, chances are it will. So let's kick off with Down on the Track. Well, there's a 1 in 12 chance that could happen, but let's actually see what we do get. Okay, here we go. What for once wasted and now habits. Track 1 of the randomness is Eyes of Silver. All right. So as I said, this was actually the second single from the album, only reached 52. Then they released Nobody from the first album, and only then did they actually release Blackwater as a single. It just shows you how record companies don't always know what they're doing. But you can see why they thought this was a sure bet. Classic Don Johnston? It's a different person. Classic Tom Johnston track. Very much with the sound of the hits from the previous album, Back from the Moon. Oh, you got the horns here as well. Somewhere. The Memphis horns are on a few tracks, including this one, so Wayne Jackson trumpet, Andrew Love tenor sax, James Mitchell baritone sax, and Jack Hale on the trombone. As we all know, I'm a huge Chicago fan, so horns always make me happy. This would definitely have been a bigger hit, to be fair. There's the Flip Flips. You were late. Oh, I was early. One of the two. That's one trick out. What's next? All right. First time on a random foreplay, I get one of my favourites. I mean, it's early days of this whole thing, of course. So this might happen all the time, starting from this one. This is Daughters of the Sea. As I said, a Patrick Simmons tune. And if memory serves, they had recorded a version of this before that remained unreleased. I don't know how extensively it was reworked for this version, but glad they went back to it. They've been great. Do you agree? kicks in soon. As well as two drummers, we've got Knut Holland and Eddie Guzman both doing all sorts of additional percussion on this track. Just love the dynamics of it. Pulls you back, it kicks into gear, pulls back again. And the lyrical tone on that guitar is gorgeous. So much going on in this track. It's wonderful to listen to it properly. Of course, on the album it kind of slowly fades out and segues into Flying Cloud, which is the closing instrumental on the album, but that's probably not what we're going to get. We are going to get another favourite, Spirit, and we're back with the Tom Johnston tune here, and one that was on the that best of cassette all those decades ago. Some great harmonies on here too. The mix of acoustic and electric is masterful. It's so rich. They don't make it like this these days. Old fogies opinions sticking in there, but it's true. it's not easy and you know it. Didn't used to like this bit because I was close to being a child and I hated any mention of children in lyrics at the time. I can live with it now. Having a bar, don't worry it out, yeah. Yeah. Final one. What's it going to be? Okay, we're back with the horns. We're back with the Pat Simmons tune. You just can't stop it. This isn't high on my list of favourites, but I do like it. Hey, you've got the horns. And oddly, you've got Tom singing on a Pat song. Not something they did a lot of. Oh, I missed a vital bit of personnel on this this track, and Eyes of Silver, and that the great Billy Payne was on organ on Eyes of Silver, and he's on clarinet on this. You'll know Bill Payne, of course, from Little Feat. If he's still with the Doobies, the last time I saw them, he was in the touring lineup. And frankly, should have been an official member. John McPhee, who played on one not very well regarded album, is a full member. Otherwise it's just Pat and Tom these days. I don't even know where Michael McDonald fits in. He's touring with them too. But everybody else is just effectively a hired hand. There it is. It's a little bit buried in the mix, the clavinet. What's that? All right. I'll just let it play to see what the next one would have been. Hey, hey. We did well today. What you're hearing here is the first 10 seconds of my least favourite track, Down in the Track. So we'll stop it there. But let's just see what else we could have won, because following Down in the Track, we would have had Road Angel, my absolute #1 track from this album, followed by Flying Cloud, which is cool, but just a little 2-minute instrumental, and then Pursuit on 53rd Street. So I think the 4 we got overall beats that 4, and the final 4 is pretty good too. But if you know the album, you can already work out what that would have been, if not the order they would have been in. Okay, well, there we have it. That is today's random foreplay from the Doobies' What Were Once Vices and Now Habits album from '74. We got some pearls on that one, to be fair. We kicked off with Eyes of Silver. We had Daughters of the Sea. And then we had the next track, which was Spirit. That's the one. And finishing off with You Just Can't Stop It. Although I did then just stop it. So they were wrong. Sorry, Pat. You can't tell me what to do, apparently. Well, I hope you did enjoy that. If you're familiar with the album, let me know what were the 4 tracks you would have most wanted to have come up, or anything that you're glad didn't, anything you heard today that you might not have heard in a long time that maybe you've reassessed. Any thoughts are welcome, or you can keep them to yourself. That's also fine. You do you. But do drop us a like and a subscription if you haven't subscribed already, and I'm betting you haven't, so sort that out. And I will see you on the next video, when and indeed if that ever happens. Bye for now.